You know, the Mesilat Sharim says that things that are simple, you need to learn them more. Because you get used to it, get used to things, and then you say, yeah, everybody knows about this. Rabotai, there is a very hard question in this week's parasha. How can a person who had Ruach HaKodesh, how can a person who was such in a high level can suddenly lose everything in one moment? This person was obviously Korach. Rabotai, Korach had Ruach HaKodesh. What? Korach had Ruach HaKodesh. Korach minosei Aaron haya. You know that if one of the Kohanim that was carrying the Aaron had a negative thought, it was dying on the spot. And Korach never had a negative thought in his mind. Right? So how it's possible that suddenly he goes against Moshe Rabbeinu, and not only goes against Moshe Rabbeinu, he's able to grab huge amount of Talmidei Chachamim after him, and the worst is that he knows that he's putting himself into a situation of Chas v'Shalom suicide. How is that possible? There is a there was a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Salant. Rabbi Salant was the head rabbi that pushed the learning of Mussar in Am Yisrael. He said, you can have people that they may know a lot. They may get into very high levels in Avodat Hashem. But if they don't learn Mussar, they can lose everything in one moment. Why? Because when a person is not in a challenge, when a person is not in a nisayon, the Yetzer Hara, let him move on with your life, no problem. As far as the Yetzer Hara knows that he's not working internally on his midot, on his anger, on his kinah, jealousy, on his tava, on his desires, if a person does not work on these midot, it will be eventually a moment that a person will have an isayon, a challenge, and that challenge, he will not be able to pass it. And that's why Rabbi Salant said that it's obligation of every single one of us. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter where are you learning, or what are you doing. It's an obligation to learn Mussar daily. Because without the learning of Mussar, all the great learning that you know, all the knowledge, all the mitzvot that you know, they're not going to help you at the moment of challenge. And at the moment of challenge, we can lose everything in one shot. And that was the result of Korach. Korach, that it was in the highest level of Ruach HaKodesh. Many friends, do you know how much you have to work to get to Ruach HaKodesh? Open up the Orchot Tzadikim and the Mesilat Yesharim. All of the first, not the first, almost the whole book are steps before you get to Ruach HaKodesh. So Korach worked upon himself, but still there was an area that he didn't. And because he didn't, he had the moment of challenge, he fell. And a person cannot say, listen, I'm learning already, I'm fine. No. Constantly you have to think, what area I have to reinforce in my midot? Only you know. Only you know your thoughts. Yodat tzaddik nefesh behemto. A person knows his negative traits. If you know them, learn about them. Check them, work on them. And that will save us at the moment of challenge. There was a certain Admor back in the days in Russia, that the Hasidim came over to him, the students came over to him, and they told him, Rabbi, we all got letters from the Russian army They want us to take all of us to the army. Now, Rabotai, taking boys back in those days to the Russian army, and I think until today is the same thing, okay, is actually two problems. Problem number one, bar minan, danger of life. But worse than that, problem number two, spiritual danger. Boys that were taken to the Russian army, unfortunately, they lost all their Yiddishkeit, all their Kedusha, everything. So they went to the Rebbe, and they begged to the Rebbe, Rebbe, we want to stay in yeshiva. What can we do? So the Rebbe told them, listen, I wrote down a book of Mussar. I want you to learn the book of Mussar daily for at least half an hour. Okay? The boys accepted what the Rebbe said, and they all started to learn Mussar. There was one boy that it was an Ilui. Do you know what's an Ilui? Ilui are, extremely smart boy, very, very sharp in his learning. He said, listen, it's going to be Bitul Torah if I start learning now this book of Mussar. Do you know how much I can do? Learning Gemara in the Rishonim, in the Haronim, in the Pitpul. So it's going to be a Bitul Torah. He decided not to learn. The day that they needed to go to the army, every soldier has to pass through a certain type of exam, physical exam, mental exam. Since they got there, all the boys from the yeshiva, they got exempt from going to the Russian army. They checked them. They said, "No, you guys are too weak. I don't know why. Not good. Exempt." Out of all the boys of the yeshiva, whole yeshiva, one boy was not exempt. The Ilui. Not only that, the father of the boy of the Ilui realized that his son is not exempt. He tried to how do you say that in English? Bribe somebody in the army. He gave the money. The army realized that somebody was bribing over here. Not only they forced the kid to stay in the army, they gave a penalty to the father as well, besides the money that they took already. So they went to the Rabbi and they said, how come? He says, because when you learn Mussar, you are in a different level. You are in a different level. You're protected in a different way. And that's why Mussar is essential for our Avodat Hashem. Nabutai, the Navi tells us a story. The Navi tells us that there was a fellow called Chiel Bet Ha'eli. Chiel Bet Ha'eli, my dear friends, was a guy that decided to rebuild the walls of Yericho. Now, Borei Olam put a curse. A person who will build the walls of Yericho, Bifchoro Yazdena, he will start and he will lose his elder son. And if he will continue, he will lose all his sons until the last one. Yeah, you following? So this guy, Chiel Bet Ha'eli, said, I don't care. I want to build up the city of Yericho. He had his older son came over to him. He told him, Abba, you're doing against the halakha. Stop it already. Don't do. He said, leave me alone. And this kid said, no, Abba, don't do it. What did Chiel Bet Ha'eli do? He killed his own son. And if you think that it's over, he had 7 kids. And every time that another kid was coming and he was telling him something, immediately was killing him. He was killing him. Rabotai, Chiel Bet Ha'eli, not only that, the end of his story. After he killed all his sons, the end of the story was, years later, there was a famous test that Eliyahu Navi did to Am Yisrael to tell them to leave the Avodah Zarah of the Baal. It was an Avodah Zarah that unfortunately the majority of Am Yisrael were doing. And Eliyahu Navi said to them, Al matai atem poschim ben shnei se'ifim, until when you guys want to dance in two weddings? Either Borei Olam is your God or the Baal is your God. Don't play games. Don't go one day to shul, the other day go to, I don't know, to Avodah Zarah. They did a test. What was the test? Eliyahu Navi will build a Mizbeach, an altar, and Nevi'ah Abad are going to build another one. And whoever will have fire burning the Korban, that will be the proof that he is a real God. There was a guy, his name was Chiel Bet Eli. And Chiel Bet Eli goes and he hid himself under the altar of Nevi'ah Abad. And he decides to light a fire at the moment that they will put up the sacrifice, to light a fire from inside. And that will show that the Baal is Emet. And what happened? Borei Olam brought a snake, and the snake came and he bit him. And he got killed on the spot. Chazal is saying, Nachash comes from the word Nidui, Chayrem, Shemata. Nidui and Chayrem, we know that is a certain type of excommunication. Shemata, Shemet Ba. At the moment that Chiel Bet Eli did that action, he died right away. Guess what? Chiel Bet Eli, after he lost his 7 kids, who came to see him? The one and only Eliyahu Navi. If Eliyahu Navi is going to see this fellow Chiel Bet Eli, it means that Chiel Bet Eli was an important person. If he was another guy, he was not even coming to see him. Eliyahu Navi. Yeah? So he says, how it's possible that a person, an important person, that Eliyahu Navi is ready to go to visit him? He did such a terrible averot. The answer is the same. When a person does not have Mussar, you might think about yourself that you're a great person and a great tzaddik and a great, amazing human being. At the moment of a challenge, you will be surprised of yourself how low you can get because you didn't learn Mussar before. It's our obligation. Each one should take upon himself a time, listening of shiurim of Mussar. Read a sefarim of Mussar. Today you have so many languages, in English, tons, Spanish, whatever you want. Mesilat Yesharim, Achot Tzadikim, Pelei Yoetz. You have so many. Chovot HaLevavot. Let's take upon ourselves to learn Mussar every single day. B'ezrat Hashem will give to all of us siyata d'shmaya and הצלחה בכל מעשייתנו. אמן כן יהי רצון. רבי יוחנן בן הקדוש אומר לצריך הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל לפיכך. חיל בא להם תורה מצוות שנאמר אדוני חפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה וידע.